Hello, everyone. Welcome to Keep Punching University. Tonight, again, we have a stellar night. We've got a keynote speaker to give you information that you've seen on the international stage many times. And here she is live for you tonight, right now in your living room, or maybe your bedroom, who knows? But here she is live, and she's ready to give you the information that you need to be able to grow your business. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a good friend of mine before we get this started with our keynote speaker, Dr. Jan Roberto. I want to talk to you a little bit about a mentor of mine, Curt Beavers. And indeed, Curt Beavers uh, is well known for his commitment to excellence and to victory with the Juice Plus Company, coupled with his motivational skills and leadership, pretty much has driven many partners in our company in what I call superstardom. Very well known, national stage. Now, were many of you on his halftime show he recently did? I mentioned it earlier. If not, get in touch for more information. Now, what's not seen many times is how easily and effectively Kurt's skills and practices can be transferred to others within the company. Kurt works with the best of the best, both in corporate and in the field. His unique blend of passion and trust has shown as he's worked with top leadership and top leaders in our company, like Dr. Jan Roberto. He works very closely with her. So tonight, he had a message of who Dr. Roberto is to him. Curt, take it away.
Thanks, Kerry. It is a privilege and an honor to introduce Dr. Jan tonight. You know, one of my greatest joys in life is introducing people to people that have impacted my life. And I can tell you very honestly and upfront, Jan has had a major influence on my life, my wife's life, my daughter. She's walked us through joyful things. She's walked us through tragedies and questions that we were unable to answer. But tonight, you're going to hear from her because she's going to walk you through what I think is going to be unveiling and riveting to you. And that is, first of all, you need to recognize that you fall short of what you should eat. Does everybody know that? Does everybody know that even no matter how hard you try, you fall short of what you should eat? I know that's one of the things that was a revelation to me. Is I felt, I felt guilty about as a parent feeding my kids, felt guilty about what I ate. But then when I found Juice Plus, and Dr. Jan's going to convey that to you, what you found is you fall short, and that can make you depressed or make you feel at a disadvantage. But Juice Plus bridges the gap to give your body what it does need, what your body needs. So you fall short of putting in your body what it needs, and Juice Plus bridges that gap. But why Dr. Jan? Why Dr. Jan Roberto? Why is she on this call tonight? Why has Kerry chosen her to deliver this message to you? Well, she's an amazing physician. First of all, she and her husband Mark have a practice in Dayton, Ohio, and they've been in practice together for a long time. Their son is a internist who's now studying to be a surgeon. She's not a great grandmother. She is a wonderful grandmother. I don't want to, she might get mad at me if I called her a great grandmother. She's not a great grandmother yet. She is a wonderful grandmother. She's a wonderful husband, a wonderful wife. And she loves the Lord. She's a godly woman, and she lives her life that way. And I could tell you about all of her, accolades as a physician. But the thing I want to tell you mostly about Jan is she's a person of character. When she speaks, she means it. When she speaks, it comes from her heart. A lot of doctors can talk from a test tube and a microscope and a lab results, but she does. She knows all that, but she speaks to you as someone who really cares about your future, about your health. And I really want you to listen to Dr. Jan tonight. She's been, like Kerry said, all over the world. Her videos, her information, her knowledge have spread from, she's probably the most famous for her breaking down and explaining the power of our complete protein powders and what they do in your bodies. That was probably one of her most famous videos that many of you have used thousands of times. But she's on committees involved with our research. She's on different platforms to take us into the future. So, Kerry, am I turning it back over to you or
Yes.
who? I'll turn it back over to you guys. Dr. Jan's amazing, and I'm going to get to ask her a question at the end. So you want to stick around because she's going to answer a question that I really am anxious to hear her answer. So I can't wait for Kerry to interview her, and I get to ask my one big question at the end too.
All right. Well, Curt, thank you so much. I know that the two of you work very closely. And also, Mickey, I want to thank you so much for helping me put this together. Thank you for keeping Keep Punching University running on a regular basis for 36 years. Appreciate that. Dr. Roberto, let's get started this way. We have a lot of people that are tuning in that have not met you personally, as we have. Of course, we've been working with you for many years, a couple of decades. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your educational background to become a medical doctor?
Well, first of all, thank you, Curt and Kerry, for that introduction. I was just about ready to say, I'm not going to be able to speak. I feel so overwhelmed with gratitude and emotion, but it is a privilege just to be part of this community. And I'll probably tell you in a little bit how Juice Plus found me. But basically, undergrad, I'm from Massillon, Ohio, northeastern Ohio. It was sort of a football town, used to be. And went to undergrad at the University of Cincinnati, where I was biology major, pre-med. That's where I met my husband. He was a third-year med student, and I was a second-year undergrad. So do the math, 5 years older. I got into medical school at Wright State in Dayton, Ohio. And Mark was already up here doing a family practice residency. And so we got married somewhere in there. And then I did my residency in Dayton at Miami Valley Hospital. And then we've been practicing in Springfield ever since. Springfield, Ohio, which is about 20 miles east of Dayton. We had our own practice for 30 some years that started with the two of us, and we added a partner, then another partner, then another partner. I kind of ran the whole thing financially as well as practicing semi part-time. I was always 3/4 to what everybody else did. Then we sold about 5 years ago to Kettering Health Network and became employees. And that was one of the best days of my life. So still practicing part-time, 3 days, 3 full day and 2 half days, and Mark's three half days. I'm a full day. So basically, we still have time on Mondays and Fridays to do whatever we want to do.
So private practice and then with a group. Is that correct?
Well, still both private practice, but we did hospital work at 2 hospitals until we sold and just do office practice now.
Well, Doc, as a medical doctor, what is it that drove you into that profession?
Seriously, so let's just be real. My first father, my real dad, my biological dad died of a heart attack with me sitting on his lap, and I was just about 7 years old. And something happened. I was like not going, I was going to be in charge of my life. And I never really saw myself necessarily being married with a family, but I knew if I could be a doctor, I could at least help people. So it was kind of like that. I was just a driven person. I did everything I could to try to get into medical school, and the rest is history.
Okay, let me ask you, let's jump right into Juice Plus if you don't mind. Being this is sponsored by our team of partners with the Juice Plus company, how did you hear about the product line?
A very interesting story in that Mark had an early heart blockage, 99%, that should have taken his life, like my father at the same age, about 41. And luckily he did not and got a stent. And about a year later, somebody showed up at my door as a friend and her friend with Juice Plus and said, here, this is what Mark needs to take. I'm like, great, that's for him, not me. No research, no understanding. He took it because he took anything people gave him because he didn't want to die. I didn't take it. It accumulated on my shelf. And those same two girls, Melissa Elliott and Chris Reap, came after me again 2 years later and got me to a conference in Memphis. And I didn't know what I was going to or why.
Oh,
Fell in
wow.
love with the culture after I went to a nutritional conference. And I said, I want to do that too. But it took me 2 days to figure that out.
Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. Great story. So, Doc, what is it that caught your attention as a physician to recommend the product line to your patients and to your family. That's pretty serious commitment.
Well, it wasn't until I had the education. I absolutely, and this was about 2000 and was it 2005, 2004? The studies were coming out. I think the fifth study was the Journal of the College of Cardiology, which I heard about when I went to that conference. So it was the education and sort of everything coming together that if it was good for us, it was good for other people. And then I just naturally started to share it.
So in the US alone, there's a huge amount of supplementation on the market. In fact, in the United States, there's somewhere around 50,000 supplements just in the USA. What makes us different?
Well, first of all, I don't consider Juice Plus a supplement. I know it technically is because it's not a pharmaceutical. I've always seen it as necessary plant powders that everybody needs. And so as long as I could continue to see that it was food in a capsule, that I could turn it over and see the nutrition facts, I could read the label, read what was in it, I felt great that, hey, this is food in a capsule and everybody needs it. So I didn't even understand supplements because I mean, I did, but I wasn't interested. And I still am not interested unless it has the criteria that I just mentioned. I mean, I knew enough to know that anything could be put in a capsule and put a label on it. And a good advertising will get it to sell for a short period of time. So when I understood that it was food and that it had at that time 5 to 7 research studies, I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to hear what this is.
Well, for everyone that's listening in, I guess what I really caught here is food in a capsule versus supplementation. Big difference. Wow, that's a great answer. I like that. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but heck, you're a medical doctor. You know what you're doing. You've studied, you've looked at all our research and so forth. So now, is there possibly one published study that stood out for you? Because we have over 40, of course, that we published. And I know it's hard to choose one, but if you had to choose one, which one would it be for Dr. Jan Roberto?
I kind of thought you would be asking that question, and just for fun, because if some of you know me, I'm a little bit detailed. So I went to my folder and I pulled out my 3-ring binder of at least the first 28. Okay, so for those of you that have never seen the journals, I want you to see that this is what we couldn't wait to have in our hands. Now they're all printed online. You can still get their actual covers and you can download them, right? But this one, this is actually only 28 and it's pretty heavy. And we are now close to, I think, 48 today. I found out from Sean. So this one.
Oh, wow. It's my favorite.
Okay. And it is study number 5. Okay. And so the reason that is so important, and it's still, even though it was published in May of 2003, the information doesn't change, is that it does show the effect of protection in that those that were on Juice Plus compared to those that were not, that ate a high-fat meal, those that were not on Juice Plus had measurable constriction of their arteries. Those that were on it had measurable dilation. When they added the berry blend, there was even better protection. Now, I know that's very simple, but do we really? I mean, we have so many studies on the immune system, on inflammation, on DNA protection, on the bioavailability. What does that mean? If that was the only study, bioavailability, where you could actually measure the blood compared to placebo and see nutrients in there that were not in the placebo. Nutrients, phytonutrients, polyphenols. So I don't know if that answered your question. I at least got you to know what my favorite study was, but there really is such a body of research now approaching 50 that we have them into categories. And even that alone is impressive with the different groupings, as well as, women's health, children, various athletic performance and protection there, as well as the immune system, inflammation, and microcirculation.
Well, I'm gonna be a little selfish, okay? Because you chose my favorite, Journal of American College of Cardiology. Would you mind just expanding a little bit more on that study?
Well, I kind of said that, but I left out the high-fat meal was the McDonald's. McDonald's, what was it? I don't even remember. I think it was a Big Mac and whatever it was high fat. And then somebody else was, so there were two groups of people, one that was on Juice Plus and one that wasn't. And they ate the same meal and then they had these blood vessel measurements. So after this high fat meal, the one not on Juice Plus had the expected results, which was constriction, which is what happens when you eat a high fat meal. And that was
Oh,
a
wow.
very large amount of fat. So those that were on Juice Plus had measurable protection in that it did not dilate like the other one did. So I know it's an older study, but it still is very physiologic and objective. Some of our other studies actually check markers in the blood of oxidation or immune system, things like that. But this one was just a little bit more easy to understand because of the before and after and the constriction versus the dilation. So wouldn't it make sense that you don't want your blood vessels to be you want them to stay healthy, decreased inflammation and just better blood flow?
Correct me if I'm right or wrong, but I've never heard of any type of prescriptive medication that could offer that. And
Oh, there is. Yeah, the
right.
vasodilators, nitroglycerin is an example for people that have, cardiac issues. They get some angina, they pop a nitroglycerin, that's a vasodilator. So yes, prescriptions there are. If you're a cardiac patient, you're also on usually some type of a vasodilator, even just more for protection, but not
I
food. So polyphenols, berries, fruits and vegetables obviously have some protection as well.
so evidently this is a very solid way uh, to create prevention as far as a lot of challenges that you could have health wise. Am I correct?
Well, absolutely. In our other studies, now we're talking 48 studies, okay? This was number 5. So we have so many that show improvement or um, I don't want to say strengthening, but compared to other people that are not on Juice Plus, the markers of the immune system are compared and they're healthier in terms of how they can combat illness, as well as markers of inflammation. And so many of us have not us, right? But so many people have high inflammation because of their standard American diet. So that's why a plant-based diet, as much as possible, and avoiding extra fat and avoiding carbs that are not, maybe complex carbs are important. So this community has done a phenomenal job over the years that I've been part of it, of educating people on healthy diets. It's not just Juice Plus as a solution. It's okay, let's make some substitutes. Let's do something here, one thing at a time. And we've been able to offer so much encouragement.
Wow. Wow. Now, just recently, Doc, we produced two incredible products that are new to the market, but fit into our plant-based profile that you discussed, Luminate and Superfood. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the two?
Well, let me talk about superfood powders, first of all, because our flagship original solution are the Juice Plus plant powders that come in capsule form or soft chewable. And, we started with the fruit and vegetable powders. We added the third, which was the berry blend. And so just this past year, a different delivery system was produced such that instead of swallowing 6 capsules, 2 of the fruit, vegetable, and 2 of the berry, we could actually have a stick of flavored powder that you can just put in some water and drink it down. Now, why would somebody do that? Somebody might say, I'm tired of 6 capsules a day, or I can't get my husband to swallow 6 capsules. Can you get him to drink 2 to 4 ounces of water? And so it's just another way to, another delivery system is how I say it. The Luminate is a similar stick, and I don't have any with me because I wasn't thinking that far ahead, but it's about the size of a pen. And just rip off the end, you put it in the water. The Luminate is a more of a help me now, feel good now. It's a combination of nootropics and adaptogens, kind of big words, but they're focused, or they're made for a particular focus, clarity, calm, with natural ingredients. So there's the adaptogens have 2 different kinds of mushrooms in it, sage, rhodiola, a few other things that have already been researched, are very healthy. The nootropic has the Alpinia galangia, as well as an entire coffee bean. So you get a small amount of caffeine, about 80 milligrams, so it's like a small cup of coffee, but it is not as toxic, quote unquote, as coffee because it's the whole fruit. So you're not taking out the core and roasting it. You're getting the flesh as well as the coffee bean. So it's like the whole fruit. So it's like a healthier version, but you get just a small amount of caffeine. And, it's just a nice pick me up. It also can help people focus. Actually can kind of, by focusing, you can feel a little bit more clarity.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for all this information. This is incredible. Well, Doc, what would you say to the listeners right now about our company, the Juice Plus Company, and the product line? Let's assume that everyone right now that's listening, and then also listening to the recording, and there's going to be a few thousand that's going to do that, have just heard about Juice Plus for the first time. What would you tell them?
I would say that trust the process, trust the fact that Juice Plus has been around for over 30 years. Trust the research, that these are what we call gold standard for the most part, peer-reviewed, double-blind, placebo-controlled research published independent of of Juice Plus. If you just understand those 2 things, as well as the NSF certification and the non-GMO and the kosher certification and the food label, what is there to even be thinking about that isn't good for you at a wonderful price point? Less than a cup of coffee a day. And so what was your question again, Carrie?
Well, let's just assume everyone listening in right now is here for the very first time.
Okay. It's
So
the
we want to just get information. And what would you tell them?
Yeah, that the research is there, the company's solid, Juice Plus is not new. Um, it's been around for so long, and guess what? There's some wannabes out there. Isn't that a compliment? For 30 years, there has not been any competition. Now there's a little bit of competition, and guess what that's doing? It's causing people to ask more questions. So is this like that? Or how's this different than that? And this is where we arm ourselves with the knowledge that longevity without any problems, a company that is solid and still growing, leadership that is committed. Again, this is our new era, right? We're old enough to have babies. We're old enough to have another generation of leadership. Isn't that exciting? You know, we have a new president, CEO, we have a new person in charge of marketing, you know, with fresh new ideas and some new products. And so I think that there is really no question, if they understand those two things, that the research there has been done 30 years around, and a nutrition facts, non-GMO, kosher certified. And I keep forgetting, I'm so sorry, we know where all of our ingredients come from. We have private contracts with the farmers who grow just for Juice Plus, and they practice perfect soil conditions. You know, they don't wear their boots on the ground that they're wearing somewhere else. You know, they're very particular, and they are full of pride. So we have a story and a relationship with these growers for the past 30 years. Now their children are actually, you know, maintaining those farms. Who does that? You know, and so be comfortable, be confident, know what you have, and also know that people need to hear your story. They need to know what excited you. You know, why did you add Juice Plus? To me, it made sense. You know, who couldn't benefit from eating more plant powders? And when you have a crisis, then you want the solution, right? Don't wait for the crisis to know what's important. I have said that for years. And, you know, we're talking about food. We're not talking about a pharmaceutical. We don't have to slice and splice every little piece down to understand that we have plant powders in a capsule or in a stick to
Wow,
drink.
Doc, as a medical doctor, you covered everything. You covered a lot about the product. You answered a lot of simple questions right up front that a lot of the layperson needs to hear. Another thing is you talked about the new era, new era. I mean, life and everything, business is changing, and we're right there changing with it. What a great job. Any closing comments for everyone that's listening in?
Well, first of all, you never know where your life is going to take you. And I meant to start off with this, Carrie and Mickey. You were one of the first people that I actually spoke at a gathering, a team meeting, or whatever I did years and years ago. It was so long ago. And I will never forget thinking, I can't believe I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? And Carrie was writing out something on a napkin. And I'm like, this could be interesting, you know? And look where my life has taken me over the past 20 years. And so you just never know what that next step, that next yes is going to do for you. And I feel like that's so exciting. You know, you don't have to stay where you are. Any of us, we don't have to stay in the same health picture, one step at a time, one friend at a time, one relationship. And all of a sudden, like this community of people, I could not imagine living without.
Yeah.
Well, all of you that are listening in, especially those of you that live in Cajun country, Dr. Roberto was at the City Club in River Ranch, Lafayette, Louisiana, where she spoke, and we had a good audience there for her. And she did a great job and helped build this Juice Plus followers that we have across Louisiana, thanks to you. We appreciate you a whole lot. I want to do right now, before we shut this down, if you don't mind, I want to go back to my business partner, Mr. Curt Beavers. Curt, I saw you raised your hand. You had a few comments or a couple of questions.
Yeah, I would I'd like to ask Jan a couple of things. And so she has no idea what I'm going to ask her. I will tell you, Jan and I have a love of just a love relationship for each other. She says she's willing to be my big sister. We're within a couple years of each other, and we do kind of have that brother sister relationship. So I guess if she gets mad at me because of my questions, she can beat up on me like a big sister or whatever after we hang up. But two things, Jan. One, I too love that study, the American College of Cardiology. We have lots of studies out there, but one of the things, I've been in this business for 38 years. I've been married 39 years. And like we've all got stories. My dad died of a heart attack sitting on a chair on the beach, you know.
Mm.
Um, but I remember hearing not only is that study amazing, but there was a study done, and it's more of a numerical study. Do you recall or remember they talked about what the impact would have been on the numbers of cardiac events in our country, and also how much that might have affected the cost of cardiac care? That was astounding to me, that science had said, okay, here's Juice Plus, here's your research, and if people would just take it, here's what would happen. Can you kind of expound on that for a second?
We need to figure out where that piece of paper is, because I don't have it right here. I think
Yeah.
that was more of I don't want to say computer analysis, but I think that they put
Statistical, yeah,
the
whatever, yeah.
statistical, right. And so I'm not sure it actually made, a publication, but, that can be done, where you can take data and project it forward, 10 years.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the impact with all of that, all of the research that you've had already. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was interesting, and I'll answer it as a non-doctor, just in layman's terms, because what impressed me was there were two things, and Jan's out talking all about it, but there were two things. One was how many potential cardiac events could have been averted if people followed the protocols that were in some of our research, and the second was the amount of money that our healthcare system would have saved by not having those cardiac events. It was in the billions. I mean, it was a huge number. I don't remember the exact number, but Janet, Carrie, we'll try and get the details. It's out there. We just got to find
Yeah,
the piece
I've got
of
a
paper.
slide of it too. So since
Yeah.
we're using
Yeah.
slides, but I could have pulled it up. I know exactly now. We just used that about 3 years ago. So I wasn't even thinking of it,
But it's
absolutely,
powerful.
I'll
It's a powerful story. And then the second thing, Jan, is I have, and I'm going to ask you this, because guys, I've been able to build this business all over the world, and Jan's been a big help and support, and she's got an amazing team, and she's a great leader. She's as much of a business leader as she is a physician, so you have no idea what her talents are. But anyway, Jan, when we're talking to people, there's competition out there. Like you said, others have kind of tried to jump in on our parade. And one of the things I hear from people that don't understand is they try and talk about research like they understand it, but they really don't. I mean, we've got people that advertise on TV that have tried to copy us, and they'll send you a black and white Xerox copy of a, borrowed research from another country because they've got one ingredient. But Juice Plus has kind of had the bell rung with this term in research called impact factor. And it like, not only can we talk about the individual studies, but this really proves the quality of our research. Could you just tell them what that is and what that means?
Yes, and I apologize for going over here, Carrie, but this is a huge piece of information, is because it goes back to where was the research published? Because anybody can say they have research, they've done research, they can publish a paper, but where? So the point that I wanted to make by showing you some of these is I could pull out 10 of these 25 study articles here. British Journal of Nutrition, let's say Medicine and Sports, Journal of Cardiology, Journal of Nutrition. They all have what we call an impact factor, in that if you want to ask ChatGPT, it'll show you, they'll give you an example. It's based on how often they're cited in other publications. So it gives you kind of a prestige. So this number might be 5 and this number might be 7, but some other journal might not even be rated, because who are they? Nobody ever looks at that journal. And so all of our studies have been sort of, you look up, let's say it's a 5, let's say it's a 2, let's say it's a 10, let's say it's a 4. That actual number, if you add all of those up, the official number that we have that we can use at this point, if somebody even understands that this is an impact factor of, let's say, 5, our collective body of research, collectively, 48 published studies, is 212. That
It's
is our
unheard of, isn't it?
score.
I mean, that's kind of unheard
And
of.
whether that's an official term other people use, when you have so much research, you can actually add up all of your individual impact factors and get a score. And it just highlights quality, quantity, and longevity. And that's where I think our new era is that no one can catch up. We are the best. We are the first. We are the leader, and we are innovators. And we have some exciting things coming up pretty soon. And we're in the right place. Are you so excited? We are in the right place. After all of these years, we're solid, we're strong, and we're moving forward.
Well, thank you, Curt. Thank you, Dr. Roberto. And for all of you listening in, guess what? There's another video that Dr. Roberto did for Key Punching University about a year ago, and it's called There Is No Competition, Dr. Jan Roberto. Tune into it. I'm going to take this off recording. 1 minute.